Good afternoon. Since we are running short of time, I'll try to keep it short. I represent SunSource Energy. We are a solar project developer and an EPC company. We are about 8 years old, have built about 120 projects, solar projects, largely rooftop projects for commercial and industrial clients all over India, across 22 states, and also abroad. So we have built about 50 megawatts of projects in India and about 50 megawatts of projects outside India. So that's a brief introduction to the company. We are about 120 strong, and that is just the strength of the company itself. In addition, we have a whole network of partners and subcontractors all over the country that we work with on a repeated basis. So that gives you a sense of where we are at the moment. Where we have come from is starting from zero. About 8 years ago, we started from just myself and my co-founder, and we have gotten to this stage. So you can imagine that in terms of human resources, getting to this particular point in the company's growth has been challenging, and the biggest challenge out of all the challenges that you face as an entrepreneur and as a company at any size, it doesn't matter what size the company is, the biggest challenge that you face is the challenge of human resources. So this topic of human capacity building in the renewable energy industry is something very close to my heart. It's an issue, a problem, an opportunity that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So just to give you a sense of the split of the company, in our company there are various departments that you would imagine are there in a company. We have an engineering department, which is kind of the core of the company. We do engineering for solar projects across the world. So we have a larger engineering team than most companies. We have about 30 people in the engineering team who do design engineering. In addition to the design engineering team, we have a site operations team, which also consists largely of engineers, project operations and project coordination, which also consists largely of engineers. And then we have technicians and training people, and of course the support functions such as business development, accounting. Business development is also mostly engineers. So the need for people with the right skill set, the need for people who have a set of capabilities that we are looking for at any given point in time is paramount, and we have to find new people all the time. Partly because of the growth of the company, and partly because from time to time people leave. We have been luckier than most companies in terms of our retention ratios, but you always need to replace people who leave as well. So the way I want to cover the topic that we are discussing today is from a very microeconomic level, and we'll talk a little bit about the big numbers. And I'll want to leave it at the challenges. I want to leave it at the demand side, which is what I represent here on this stage. So the demand side is the people who need the entities, the companies, the organizations that need the people who demand the skills and the capabilities which are required by the market. And the supply side is also represented here. Dr. Saxena, Mr. Babu, these are people who are working on the supply side from the government side. So let's talk about the demand side. The problem or the issues that we face as an employer. There is a technical gap in terms of the type of skills and capabilities that people emerge with from their institutes and colleges. The degrees that they bring in actually don't make them very employable. So what we have found in the course of interviewing people over and over again and shortlisting people is talking about our own experiences, that 8 out of 10 engineers that we speak to or that we come across are actually not qualified to be called engineers. Some of them are qualified to be engineers, but they're all looking to get into an industry in which they don't fit. And the reason they don't fit is either they don't have the basic knowledge of engineering which is required. That kind of reflects on the quality of education that we have, or people sometimes people didn't work hard on their degrees, hard enough on their degrees, put in a basic amount of work. But many times it's a question of them not learning skills that would be required in a job environment. They don't know that the basic tools, for example, which are used in the solar industry, such as either 2D or 3D design, which is something that, frankly, I believe that in today's day and age, every engineer needs to know. As long as you're not computer science or one of these, you're not working with data and programming and so forth. If you're an electrical or a mechanical engineer, you need to know some degree of CAD or 2D and 3D design. Similarly, people who are emerging with business school degrees, they need to do certain types of analysis. They need to know Excel. They need to know PowerPoint. And when people come in without these types of basic skills, it becomes hard to, it becomes a waste of time. You have to basically literally look through a haystack. You work with recruiters, even recruiters try their best, but even working with recruiters has its own limitations and constraints. So, you know, in terms of problems, one of the major gaps that we face in terms of the skill level of the incoming set of people is this lack of basic capability, especially among freshers and people who are 2, 3, 4 years out of college. Then there is a bigger problem. There is a bigger problem, especially among the younger set of people who are coming out, which is a set of sort of an attitude issue. Which is an attitude issue. The attitude issue ends up being a bigger problem. There is the attitudes which we face. By the way, you know, I'm focusing on the negatives. I get to work with a very, very promising set of people as well, and that's why the company has been able to accomplish all that it has been able to, promising, hardworking, and so forth. But we're talking about the overall environment we face here, and the overall environment in terms of getting people on board, in terms of finding people, is quite heartbreaking. So we were talking about the attitude issues that we face among people. The biggest thing is that most people have never, ever, most people who interview for jobs have never, ever actually understood the importance of a job. So there are all kinds of unprofessional things that happen, which actually it is a responsibility of the educational institutions they went to. It's nobody else's responsibility. Or if they try to upskill themselves, whoever they try to upskill themselves should leave them with these basic messages, that they should not cancel interviews, they should not schedule interviews and not show up for interviews. I'm not sure if you guys have faced these types of problems, but these things happen. And then when you accept a job, you should not lie on your resume. You should be able to put up, you only talk about stuff that you've actually done. You talk about stuff that you can prove with paperwork, at least in terms of degrees and certifications. And I see a number of young people sitting at the back, so hopefully this is a message you will take to heart and take it back with you. You only say stuff that you can back up in terms of your knowledge. If you've been to a particular site in a particular job, you can't say that you were actually running that, you were the project manager at that particular site. So basic things like that, basic hygiene stuff like that. This is an attitude problem. And one of the biggest problems that we have seen is when people join, they leave. I mean, they sometimes leave a day after they join, saying, you know, I was selected for a site engineer, I interviewed to be a site engineer, but I don't like working on sites. This is also the type of stuff that we face. So this is, these attitude corrections which are required, they are required. And younger people who, I mean, I see my colleague in the industry, Ritu, nodding her head, and, you know, people in the industry face this all the time. And so this is something that, to a professional, doing a very basic thing of, you know, keeping your promises, you know, doing things that you commit to do. That should trouble you. If you're not able to do that, that should really, really, really trouble you. And that attitude correction, I'm not sure if any amount of upskilling is going to help with that kind of attitude correction. But I have to say that, you know, obviously, again, maybe 20 or 30% of the people, as they grow more senior in their careers, you know, there are people who are 7 years old with my company, there are people who are 6 years old with my company. People learn. And then, as they learn, they become more and more responsible. And they get more responsibility, and then they become even more responsible. So that's the cycle, that's the virtuous cycle that we would like to start. And we have been able to, you know, I personally consider myself fortunate to have been part of that cycle for many, many professionals. And that's one of the most rewarding aspects of what I do as a CEO of SunSource Energy. So leaving it there with the challenges, at a macro level, people are projecting something like by 2022, this sector, solar specifically, is going to employ something like 1.1 million people. About almost 70-80% of these people would be employed on design, construction, and implementation type jobs, and the rest would be in support jobs such as business development, legal, operation and maintenance, and so forth. So these are very, very large numbers, and the government is aware of it. I'm part of the training team for the SBI team that we were talking about. Mr. Babu was talking about. So I myself have trained bankers in terms of the technical aspects of solar systems and solar rooftop systems. But so the government is aware of it and is working on it. But this basic degree of professionalism which is expected, this basic sense of you have to keep your promises, I'm not sure what to do about it.
No, we try to take a